How to make someone want you on a first date. I know you. I've been on a first date with you. Only a first date. Look, you're not ugly. You get there on time, with a clean shave and khakis. You're nice, you hold the door open for me, and you tell me I look good. You talk about your family, your job, and the things you enjoy doing. You ask what I do. Everything is fine. You seem like a nice person. The only trouble is that I'm fucking bored to death. This is not a mean or rude thing to say. Just the truth. I know in my heart that you're probably not boring. But your about me speech sounds a bit too much like an interview. You seem a little too interested. Being interested isn't bad, but being so interested in a first date is a turnoff. Everything just feels like it's trying too hard. It seems like you're trying too hard to be a gentleman. Enough. At this point, I'm probably getting on your nerves. Perhaps a little lost. You might be thinking, how the fuck am I supposed to act on a first date? How to get a date? I'll tell you exactly how to behave on a date, but there's one catch. You must pay attention. You have to take the comments into account. Don't just say, I don't need to play games, which is a mistake. This is not fun. This is the art of wooing, and it is a very important part of dating success. Seduction is easy to learn because it has little to do with how you look. In fact, I think that if you're less beautiful than the other person, you have a psychological edge because they'll expect you to try to win them over. Anyway, here's how to make someone want you on a first date, or really at any time. Stop trying to make her like you. Rule number 1 of flirting is to never try too hard to impress someone, especially on a first date. I know that you want to look good. We all want to be praised for what we have done well. But if you want to seduce someone, you have to put your ego aside. You can surprise us with the place you choose, the wine you order, how you dress, etc. But you won't say things like I've been told I have great taste in wine or I did well on the advanced sommelier exam. To seduce, you must be subtle. If you want to impress someone, you should show them instead of telling them. Don't brag about getting up at 5 a.m. every day to do CrossFit to show that you're into exercise. Instead, have nice arms. Show us you're smart and articulate by how you talk, not by telling us how smart and articulate you are. Don't say I make $100,000 a year to show that you have a good job. Instead, keep your LinkedIn profile up to date. Don't worry, she'll find out on her own when she stalks you on social media and Googles your job title. Women are naturally interested in possible partners, so the less you say about yourself, the more she'll have to dig for. To be good at flirting, you have to be a little sneaky and hint at the good things about yourself instead of laying everything out on the table. Get her interested and let her think about you. The opposite will happen if you brag. Even if what you did was cool, act like it wasn't. Let people figure things out on their own. It shows that you have faith in yourself and what you can do. It shows that you are sure of yourself. Only people who don't feel good about themselves feel the need to brag about what they've done, and uncertainty is not attractive. Use being vulnerable to get closer to someone. On a date, there are some standard things to ask. How do you make money? Where were you raised? What did you study when you were in college? Do you have any other siblings? These questions are as boring as can be. Sure, they're a good place to start, but you shouldn't stay there for too long. If you like this person, the talk on a first date should help you feel closer to them and more curious about them. These are 2 things that make you want to be with someone. On a first date, you should never try to learn everything about the other person. I would say that if you ask all the usual questions on a first date, the talk probably sucked. That is unless you are a great talker who can make even boring things sound interesting. At first, it's fine to talk about things on the surface, but you should try to go a little deeper a few times on the first date. For the talk to help people connect, there should be a bit of being open. This is because when we are open with someone, we feel emotionally linked to them. It helps build trust, which leads to a better bond in the long run. Use this to your advantage to get people talking about interesting things. What's something that you wish you were better at? What's something you feel very strongly about? What's something about you that no one knows? What's something I would never guess about you? You might have to share something vulnerable about yourself before the other person will do the same. For example, something you fear, something you wish you had done, or something you want. Also, people like you more when they feel like they're seeing a side of you that you don't usually show them. In turn, this makes them feel like they belong. You can even say, "I don't usually talk about this," to show that you're more open. But a word of warning. Vulnerability is a very fine line to walk. On a date, it's possible to show too much of yourself and make the other person feel very uncomfortable. Don't, under any circumstances, stress dump. We want to be vulnerable, but not in a way that makes us feel bad. You also don't want to use weakness too much. If you're interested in each other and feel like you're telling a lot, pull back a bit. A good way to end a talk is to say something like, "That's more of a third date topic," as a joke. This will make the person curious. So you don't shut them down, and if you do it right, you'll make them crazy interested. Be deliberate. Call me old-fashioned, but I think a guy who makes the plans is the sexiest thing ever. He is straight and in charge. He asks, "Do you like brunch?" to find out what you like. If you say you like breakfast, he says, "I know a great place." Pick you up at 11? He still asks what you think, but he already knows where and when he's taking you. He doesn't say, "I'm free Thursday night, want to hang out?" If you say yes, he'll ask, "What do you want to do? Where are you going? When do you want to get together?" It doesn't look good to make the girl you asked out plan the date. Most guys don't know that this is a huge turnoff. On a personal note, my ex and I used to fight about this. He would ask me on Thursday if I wanted to go out to dinner on Friday, and then at 4 p.m. on Friday, he would text me and ask where I wanted to go. Now I'm mad, but I can't act mad because he's taking me out to dinner. I'm also stressed because I'm busy at work and have a million things to do at home before the date, and now I have to decide where we're going at the last minute and try to make a reservation. When I told him over and over that I wanted him to plan the date, he would always say, "I know you're picky, and I don't want to take you somewhere you won't like." A bit of an excuse. Don't act like him. If you think she won't like it, pick a place and a time and talk to her about it. Believe me, the idea is great. Most of the time, women are the ones who plan relationships, and I'm not sure that's something most of us enjoy. We want a man who will sometimes take on the emotional work of making plans for shit. It's very attractive if you take charge and make plans. Just for doing that, you'll get a lot of points. If the two of you hit it off on the date you planned, it's hot if you continue to act like you're in charge. This can be done by putting questions in the form of statements. Let's do it again. Let's go for dessert. Let's go to my house. Okay, let's try it again. How about Thursday? And not. Would you like one more? Do you want to order a dessert? Would you like to visit me again? Do you still want to do this? When do you have time? Even though the difference is small, it says a lot. In both cases, the woman can still say what she wants. You should never force someone to do something, but the first one says, "I know what I want, and I want you to join me." That is a million times hotter than that, which means, "I don't like making choices." You decide. Make people want each other. Let's be honest, a first date isn't great if there isn't any sexual energy between the two of you. You'll quickly end up in the friend zone if you don't do something to stand out. I get that some guys are afraid of getting too close to a girl and scaring her away. You don't want to look like a stalker, so you stay away from anything that could be seen as a sexual approach. This is wrong because women can also be sexual. As she gets ready for the date, likely, she's quietly hoping that she'll feel sexually attracted to you. Even though some guys are naturally good at building sexual energy, I think it's a skill that can, and should, be learned by everyone. Here are some simple tips. First of all, I'd say to stay away from cringe-worthy hints or obvious pickup lines. Instead, use nonverbal cues to build up the stress. Here are a few ways to build sexual energy without saying a word. Some will feel more normal than others. Eye contact. Strong eye contact is a good thing, but it doesn't have to be sexual. Try to learn how to let your eyes slowly move down to her lips and back up again. You can look at her just a little bit. You're on a date, after all. Just don't make it too clear or creepy by staring at them for too long. How you move and stand. It's important to have easy body language that shows you're happy with the people you're with. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's okay to manspread in this situation. If you're sitting across from her, you can alternate between sitting back easily and leaning in when the talk gets more personal. Voice pitch and volume. This one is pretty clear, but it needs to be said anyway. It's hot to lower your tone, within reason. When you both lean in close, lowering your voice can also make you feel closer. If you're in a public place, it can also be hot to say something in her ear, even if it's just "Do you want to get out of here?" Note, loud and annoying behavior will never be attractive. Touch. Okay, this is coming from someone who doesn't like it when strangers get in their way. But dates are an exception. Touching someone first is a great way to build physical energy, but you should also watch how the other person reacts. Test the Cs and don't keep touching them if they tense up and look nervous. Here are a few ideas for how to start touching on a first date. Touching the small of her back is a standard move that will always be hot. If you're sitting across from her and want to do something sweeter, you could move a hair out of her face. When you're walking next to her and you're bigger than her, grabbing the back of her neck is a bit more intense and dominant, but I don't know, maybe she likes that kind of thing. I think you should try out a few different methods and pick the one that seems to work best for you. Last thing to say. To sum up, here are some tips on how to get a girl to like you on a first date. Stop trying to make her like you. Use being vulnerable to get closer to someone. Be deliberate. Make people want each other. If you feel stressed after reading this, don't worry. It will get easier the more you do it. The key is to feel strong and seductive while doing it, and chances are, that's how it will come across. But if this seems like too much work, you can always just be yourself and keep hoping for the best.